Oh, hello there. My name is Warren Blackie, and I love to make video games. Ever since I was young, I had a fascination with telling stories of fantastic journeys, fearsome monsters, and colorful characters. My inspirations are all across the board, but I remember drawing on spare printer paper to share all the adventures that swam in my head. It was when I came across RPG Maker for the PS1 that I challenged myself to actually make them into video games. I started working on a simplistic story about three friends and their dog who must gather the elements to stop a dark elf from plunging the world into darkness. It was called Fantasy Forever. Due to memory card limitations and a lack of understanding as to how the program really worked, I never managed to complete it. I went through the two following RPG Makers for the PlayStation and still was met with varying degrees of dissatisfaction. As a Mac user, I looked on enviously at the PC versions of this software and was about to put my dream of converting my childhood stories into full-fledged games to rest. And then my wish was granted with RPG Maker MV. I was finally going to do it. Regardless of the end result, I pushed myself to finish Fantasy Forever as a reimagining called Fantasy Forever Revisions. Today marks the 3-year anniversary of this fun and quirky, ugly duckling of an RPG. It was a learning experience, but I knew early on that I had to sacrifice being a perfectionist to reach the finish line. I had a lot of fun updating the story and casting all the characters to bring everything to life. It wasn't easy, but after a little over a year, Fantasy Forever Revisions was released and can be played right now. It's roughly 10 hours long, and if you like a simplistic RPG inspired by Golden Sun and Tales of Symphonia, it might be to your liking. Looking back, would I change some things? Of course. But for me, I try to remember the importance of perseverance. As Meet the Robinsons say. So rather than diving into a deep director's commentary, I've decided to save that for later and instead share how I compelled myself to do it. RPG Maker MV makes it so anyone can make an RPG, but it can be quite a daunting task. Also, like many other artistic fields, it can seem overwhelming to even try when you see some amazing games that others have made. Still, I'd like to just share my process with you guys, even if it helps just one person to reach that finish line or compels them to just open the program one last time. Look, this is in no way a definitive approach, and I am not someone whom you should go to for expert RPG Maker advice. The real wizards here are, and sorry for the pronunciation, Yanfly, Driftwood, BenderWaffles. Yeah, check those guys out if you want to dive into the nitty-gritty. This is just what I've used for 2 RPGs thus far, and it works for me, so I'll be keeping with it going forward. Alright, so here we go. Step 1. Outline your game. Alright, so whether you're using some notebook paper or a Google document, outlining your game is the first step in giving yourself what I call the skeleton. This is going to be the basic structure of your game and will give you a lot more focus than you thought. So before you even open the program, just bullet point the basic starting point and end game. I recommend doing this in a document because you can add a lot more to it later when inspiration strikes, but hey, if you can pull this off on paper, go for it. For revisions, I had the advantage of following the template of the PlayStation version, but even without that, I knew the plot revolved around 5 elements: earth, water, wind, fire, and spirit. Hey, sometimes collecting MacGuffins is a great way to outline your RPGs, as tried as the trope may be. You want to link each MacGuffin with an area: forest, dungeon, temple, it doesn't matter. Just link it somewhere. What I like to do is break down areas like this. Alright, so the name of the area is going to be Dark Woods, monsters found, we got goblins, hornets, bears, and wisps. Items located, we're going to do potions, wooden swords, antidotes, shields, all that jazz. MacGuffin is going to be earth elements, the boss is going to be the Cyclops, and then we'll even throw in like the music we're going to use. And then I'm going to add like a paragraph or two later to highlight what happens in this area. Do I meet a character that joins my party? Do I have to rescue some lost children? Do I want a side quest here? All that applesauce. This gives me a structure with how I'm going to fill out each area when it comes to the actual game design. Do this for as many as you can think of, and don't worry because you will constantly be coming back to this outline. Think of your outline as your cheat sheet. Once you pop open the program, just seek out the resources, plop them in, characters, monsters, items, and get to work, which brings us to Step 2, making maps. Now, I am not here to teach you how to make badass maps akin to Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, because I suggest playing some of those games as a reference. That'll help you understand how maps work. If you really want to commit to making maps, check out tutorials by BenderWaffles. I'll put a link in the description. I am not that good at making maps, but I am slowly showing some Steady progress. It's better than nothing. What I will say is this. When you work in RPG Maker, try to work in broad strokes before getting into the fine details. Unless you absolutely adore making maps, which I don't, I suggest just making a few simple rooms with an exit point and an entry point for now. Use this approach for any map, whether it's for a town, castle, dungeon, whatever. Oh, and avoid the random dungeon generator. I use that in revisions and I kinda wish I didn't. So what you want to do is map the basics of your entire game, so let's follow the greatest video game of all time for reference. Super Mario Bros. 3. We're going to do the grass area, desert area, water area, the forest area, sky area, ice area, maze area, and lava area. Okay, so what you want to be able to do is playtest your game and travel from the starting point of the game all the way to the final area. I know it seems silly, but we want to stray from cutscenes, puzzles, all the details for now. Way to go, your outline is now an RPG Maker, but it's just a skeleton. Time to fill it up. Step 3. Fill it with shit. Hey, remember all those assets we put in the outline? Let's start fleshing them out. Maybe our wisps are impervious to physical attacks, so we know that the player needs a spell or two to eliminate them. Perhaps there's a block puzzle blocking the way to the Cyclops. Maybe the bears are quite rare and can be avoided if you slip past them. Keep playtesting, but apply an extra brush stroke to any idea that pops in your head while you do it. Too barren? How about some treasure chests or booby traps? Maybe some plants will poison you if you touch them. Really flesh out these areas, but keep in mind it won't all happen in 1 or 2 playtests. Instead, let's go to the next step with Step 4. Get some fresh eyes. Let's face it, you are going to be coming through your RPG a lot, whether it's 1 hour, 15 hours, or 30 hours long. Whatever your game length goal is, triple those numbers. But I highly suggest having someone else look it over too. It doesn't have to be a critic or even a moderator of a community. Unless you want to release this baby on Steam for profit, then maybe consider that. But just a buddy or two. Maybe a YouTuber that likes to play through RPG Maker games. I know of 2 of them right off the bat, Game Dog and the Sacred Lobo. The point is, let some other players comb through your game and take notes on whatever they suggest. You don't have to implement them all, but it's something as simple as the area was too small or the monsters were too strong. Then you can address them on your next brush stroke. Luckily for me, I have my own personal playtester just so I can get some perspective. But don't take my word for it.
Surprise! It's me. Well, I'm not a game maker, at all. So when I was asked to play the game, I was a little nervous. But I wanted to play through it honestly. The main point of playing through a game is to make sure that things play correctly. No one is walking through walls or floating about. The spelling is correct in the dialogue. Granted, I'm not much of a great speller, but I can still catch a few things here and there. And most importantly, is it fun to play? It is important to make sure that those you ask to test your games will be honest, but also supportive of your vision. As a playtester, it's also important that you believe in the vision of the creator. If you can see and understand what they want to do when you comb through the game, it's with the understanding of the direction that was intended. With Fantasy Forever revisions, I can see and feel the passion put into the story. I know that Ren thinks this is an ugly duckling game, but it is one of the first games that I had ever played as an adult, other than a few sad attempts at games as a kid, and honestly, it was a lot of fun. I think it's impressive and inspiring to play and be a part of the game process. As a person who does not have the slightest idea how to make a game, I encourage anyone who wants to learn to embrace the mistakes, learn from them, and don't feel disappointed in them because they teach you how to do better next time. And once you get the hang of it, the entrance to unlimited worlds full of untold stories await you. And that's something that only you can give yourself if you embrace the entire process of making the game. Revisions is having its 3-year anniversary, and has paved the way for a whirlwind of other ideas to blossom into existence. And for that, I am so incredibly proud of this wonderful game.
So I hope this video inspired someone, and I hope you all feel motivated to try that program once again, because it really is a fun program. You don't always have to think of it as your gateway into the indie game industry and get overwhelmed. You could really just see it as making your own Lego animations. It's really fun, and I hope you have fun with this program. And hey, if you ever want more videos on me and my RPG making endeavors, let me know. I always have some new ideas in the woodworks. Thanks for watching.